Industry leaders, policymakers, and captains of commerce have again reiterated the urgent need for Nigerians to patronize locally made products as a pathway to industrial growth and national development. The charge came at the fifth Adeola Odutola Lecture, organized by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Think Nigeria First, prioritizing patronage of made in Nigeria products. The event brought together policymakers, business leaders, and development experts to chart a new course for Nigeria's industrial revival. Representing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, John Owan Eno, reaffirmed the administration's commitment to creating an enabling environment for manufacturers to thrive. He said the government recognizes that patronizing locally made goods is not just an economic choice, but a patriotic duty that will help stabilize the naira, create jobs, and strengthen national productivity.
Nigeria First is not a slogan. It is a governing orientation, a clear decision to use public policy, procurement, and partnership to shift demand towards locally made goods that meet globally competitive standards, while lowering the structural cost of production so that manufacturers can compete both at home and abroad. This sits alongside the newly validated Nigerian industrial policy, developed with extensive input from industry, including MAN, which provides the supply-side blueprint, infrastructure and energy solutions for industry, coordinated standards and quality systems, skills and technology upgrading, financing and incentives, and trade facilitation under the AFCFTA. We will now move from validation and unveiling to sequence implementation with transparent milestones.
Also lending his voice, President and Chief Executive Officer of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, represented by the President of the Pan-African Manufacturers Association, called for deliberate action to boost local manufacturing capacity. He emphasized that no nation can achieve economic independence without a collective will to prioritize and consume what it produces.
The theme, Nigeria First, prioritizing made in Nigeria, is most timely and most relevant. As Dangote Group itself has shifted from importation and distribution of products to producing many of those goods locally, we see firsthand the value of domesticating manufacturing and the impact it has on job creation, economic expansion, and most importantly, on creating prosperity for our people. I commend the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and its partners for championing Nigeria's manufacturing sector. Manufacturing is central to any nation's economic growth and prosperity. Thus, for us in Nigeria, and given our socio-economic indices, it is the sector that it grows and generates multiplier effects on our GDP and on our economic well-being and our economy as a whole. This makes it essential for Nigeria to prioritize policies that support the deepening of our manufacturing sector.
For the President of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Francis Meshioye, the Adeola Odutola Lecture remains a vital platform for deepening dialogue on industrialization and economic sovereignty.
Man believes that Nigeria First policy is about building national resilience, creating jobs at home, saving foreign exchange, driving technological innovation, and giving Nigeria the productive foundation it needs to be competitive globally. To this end, Mr. President, sir, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, effective legislation and implementation becomes the key and must be carried out without any prevarication. I, on behalf of man, will therefore urge the federal government to do as follows. Back Nigeria first policy with legislation. Thank you. Enforce it across all MDAs and tie compliance to performance metrics monitored by National Bureau of Procurement. Then set annual local content benchmarks for government procurement in key sectors such as automobiles, textiles, pharmaceuticals, and agro-processing. When we do this, it should be deliberately willing to penalize non-compliance and reward MDAs that exceed their local content procurement targets, so that Executive Order 003 and 005 become very effective and compliant-based.
The keynote address of Mr. President is reassuring and has ignited a fervent hope that better days are ahead for the beleaguered Nigerian manufacturing sector. You have reiterated your administration's commitment to the growth and development of manufacturing in Nigeria, and we are full of expectations that key recommendations coming out of this lecture, particularly the ones relating to the imperatives for a coordinated and unfettered implementation of the Nigerian Force Policy, will command priority attention of government.
Representatives from government, ministries, development partners, and the private sector echoed similar sentiment, emphasizing that Nigeria's journey towards sustainable growth depends on how well it supports its industries and innovations.
The Nigeria First mantra demands a quality-first commitment from you. The Nigeria consumer is sophisticated and deserves the best. We cannot champion or patronize while offering substandard product. Invest in quality control, innovate design and packaging, and fiercely compete for the prize for excellence. Ladies and gentlemen, the path for self-reliance, economically secure Nigeria is paid with the produce we produce in our own factories and farms. Every time we choose a locally made garment over an imported one, we are stitching the fabric of our national pride. Every time we buy a Nigeria-made beverage, we are toasting to our collective prosperity. Every time we install machinery installed or fabricated in Aba, Taraba, or Calabar, we are engineering our own destiny. Let this AGM be remembered not just for a robust deliberation, but as a moment we move from rhetoric to resolute action.
The manufacturing sector, which will be the engine of job creation and innovation, currently contributes as low as 11% of Nigeria's GDP, down from 20 to 21% in the early 1980s. You can see very clearly why. Most of our factories, many have closed down, and many are struggling to survive. I'm very hopeful that with the new administration we have in Nigeria, there's hope for our nation. This gap reflects decades of underinvestment, policy inconsistency, and insufficient local patronage. We cannot industrialize without first building a strong internal market base that values trust and that we patronize made in Nigeria goods.
Nigerian First is not just a slogan, it is a call to action. It demands a shift in mindset and national consciousness from consumption of foreign product to the celebration of Nigerian innovation, creativity, and industry. Every nation that has transformed its economy over the last few decades, that's from China to Korea, India to Brazil, did so by nurturing local production, protecting domestic industries, and cultivating patriotic consumer habits. In Nigeria, however, imported goods continue to dominate our market, often to the detriment of local producers. To reverse this trend, we must see the Made in Nigeria label not as a second option, but a badge of pride and quality.
Stakeholders say the message is clear. Buying Nigerian is not just an act of patriotism, but a strategic economic choice. Stakeholders call for legislation to back the Nigeria First policy with compliance tied to procurement performance across all government agencies. They warn that if Nigeria fails to institutionalize this, the nation risks remaining trapped in a circle of import dependence and industrial stagnation, a pattern that undermines local innovation and jobs. Okpeyemi Owosheni, TV360 News, Lagos.